Bishop Walter Hawkins was hailed around the world for many years as a gospel hero, a voice of healing, a man of God, and a leader in praise. As the oil was put on, though, there was quiet. It was quiet for a long time. Finally, his son has come forward. What he tells you about Bishop Hawkins's last moments will break your heart and make you question everything you thought you knew. And Tremaine always knew the truth, but never said a word. His music, his ministry, and the powerful stories of people whose lives he changed through his voice have kept Bishop Walter Hawkins' memory alive for years. He created a lot of important church music, like Going Up Yonder and the famous Love Alive series. But a deeper, more personal story was happening at the same time as the choir sang and the crowd yelled. One that no one saw. Bishop Walter Hawkins fought fights that no one knew about. He did this behind the pulpit, the blessed lyrics, the Grammy Awards, and the gospel charts. His son finally talks about what really happened in his father's last days for the first time after keeping quiet for years. What did Walter Hawkins say before he died? What family secret was kept from everyone? What scary thing did gospel superstar Tremaine Hawkins know that she chose not to share? There's more to this story than just a man's last breath. It's about family history, the truth, and how heavy silence can be. It's time to get to the bottom of one of gospel's most powerful voices' emotional confessions, unspoken battles, and secrets. What came next will blow your mind. This is where things really get personal. There was glory before the pain, the quiet, and the whispers. There was more to Bishop Walter Hawkins than just singing religious songs. He had the voice of a time. He made music that went beyond the walls of the church and into people's living rooms, radios, and minds all over the world. His velvety voice could cut through sadness and heal broken hearts. No one could have known, though, how deeply his impact would go into the heartbeat of gospel music. Bishop Hawkins transformed into a minister and performer when the Love Center Church opened, and his Love Alive albums became huge hits. He was both a man of the cloth and a man of the stage. Many people call the time he spent with the Hawkins family, especially with his brother Edwin Hawkins and his wife at the time, Tremaine Hawkins, the golden age of modern gospel. But there was something more going on beneath the spiritual highs and heavenly melodies. A lot of fans remember the happy times like the Grammys, other awards, and the world trips. But not many people know about the long nights Walter had, the fights he fought alone, or the sacrifices he made behind closed doors. This is where things get tricky. Walt's personal life had its ups and downs. Even though he was strong on stage, his marriage to Tremaine started to fall apart because of the stress of the church, touring, and personal problems. People who knew the couple well said there were times when they didn't feel connected emotionally. In the light of gospel fame, two holy vessels are drifting apart. The marriage ended in the end, but the respect between them stayed. There were still whispers about Bishop Hawkins, even though the attention was still on him. People in his church didn't fully understand the whispers that he heard about the sick and the hurt. And his son was the only one who really saw this central figure in the gospel slowly fall apart. But now, years later, his son tells things that not many people could have imagined, like the last talk he had with his father that left him speechless and the truth that Tremaine had kept hidden for decades. In the second part, we'll go right into that powerful discovery. And believe me, what you're about to hear will shock you. Bishop Walter Hawkins' son stayed out of the public eye for a long time. His followers, fans, and other gospel musicians praised his dad's music and mission, and he watched with pride. When people paid respect to him, he smiled, nodded, and kept quiet. But now, more than 10 years after Bishop Hawkins died in 2010, he's finally talking about the last moments he spent with his dad and the scary truth he's been carrying around with him ever since. The son says that the last time they talked, the gospel star didn't make any of the big spiritual claims that one might expect from them. No, it was real quiet and painful. The words from my father hit me like a ton of bricks. I did the Lord's work, but I forgot to take care of myself. I lost time. I can't get back with you, with family, with who I really was. This wasn't the voice of the confident preacher or the high-pitched choir leader. This was a dad telling his kid that he felt terrible about what he did. The son then said that Walter seemed to be dealing with more mental pain than physical illness in the last few weeks of his life. He remembered reading the Bible with Walter next to his father's hospital bed, but Walter would suddenly whisper, Tell them I did more than sing. As a man, I tried to make peace with everything I hid. That's where the quiet gets unbearable. The bishop's son said that his father had deep mental problems that not many people knew about. There were hurts that were not spoken, like unresolved problems with close friends, wounds from the split, and even disagreements within the family about his legacy. Reports say he was afraid that people would remember the song but not the man, even after all the awards and praise. Son said that Bishop Hawkins turning away from him in the middle of a talk and softly crying was a very sad moment, but not from pain. He was empty because he hadn't told some people certain things while he still had time. He wasn't scared of dying. The boy's father told him he was scared of dying alone. That's not all. The son also made it sound like Walter's ex-wife and longtime ministry partner, T. Hawkins, knew a lot more about his pain than she ever told him. It was said that she broke down while looking at the casket at the funeral. Not just from sadness, but also from the weight of words that were not said. A family friend who knew what was going on said that T. cried like she was hiding something. She said something to the coffin in a whisper. Even though no one could hear it, you knew it was a goodbye full of unfinished business. She has never talked about it in public, though. In section 3, the son talks about what he thinks Tamain knew and why she didn't say anything about it. This is the most shocking part. It has to do with a spiritual promise they both made many years ago, and you won't believe why she kept it to herself. As a gospel singer, Tamain Hawkins has a voice that could shake the clouds. She was beautiful on stage and sang songs with a lot of soul, but she never told the truth about the man she used to love and the pain he carried forever. As Walter Hawkins' son revealed more about his father's last moments, one name kept coming up over and over again. T-Main, the woman who used to be in ministry, marriage and music with him. She had every reason to be angry after their painful split, but she chose to be quiet. But now, after years of being unknown, that silence is being called into question. Fans are now questioning everything because of what they've learned. The son said that T-Main came by himself during one of the last family visits before Walter died, without any cameras, press, or announcements. There were only the two of them, and it was quiet and close. Walter is said to have reached out and touched her hand. There was silence for a long time. She didn't cry at first, but after a while she did. A nurse who was in the room said T-Main whispered, "I always knew you were hurting. I just didn't know how to help without losing myself." Those words were so painful that they cut right through you. It's now thought that T-Main knew for years about Walter's mental problems and the stress he was under as a bishop, a father, a leader, and a cultural icon, but she didn't share what she knew. Why? Because, as her son now says, she and Walter made a spiritual promise in the late 1980s to protect each other's public mission, no matter what happened between them in private. It turned out that promise was a jail. As a gospel singer, T-Main faced harsh criticism for her style, clothes, and choices. She learned the hard way that telling the truth doesn't always get you anywhere in the church community. There wasn't much room for weakness because of the pressure to look strong in the Lord. When Walter started to break under the stress, T-Main's first reaction was to protect his image, even if it meant he had to miss out on healing himself. In fact, T-Main was asked in a long-lost interview from the mid-2000s if she and Walter ever got over their breakup. She replied, "Closure isn't always public. Sometimes the most sacred forgiveness happens in silence." Fans thought it was just flowery language at the time. This time, though, after her last visit and the son's admissions, it means more. Family members say that T-Main also kept some of Walter's diary entries that he had written when he was feeling very down. Notes that he never meant to share, but that show what he talked about with God in secret. Walter Hawkins, whose voice healed millions, wondered if he ever really healed himself. One entry that was shared privately with his son said, "Lord, if my music heals others but never reaches my own soul, did I do it right? Let that sink in." And T-Main, she held that truth close to her heart without using it as a weapon, talking about it in interviews or making it a secret. Being quiet wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a way for her to feel safe. Fans are now thinking if T-Main should speak out too, since Bishop Hawkins' son has already done so, or if what she did was enough. The church world didn't react with condemnation when Bishop Walter Hawkins' son shared the emotional truth of his father's last words, and fans started to piece together what Tremaine Hawkins may have known but kept secret. Instead, there was a huge wave of reflection. The internet went crazy. Fans who have been following Love Alive for a long time shared videos of their shows with new captions that said things like, "Now I hear the pain behind that praise." Other fans wrote tributes that talked about the silence itself. "Priest Hawkins, thank you for carrying a cross that we didn't see." Now you can relax. But as the sadness and memories came to the surface, something deeper began to show itself. A subject that church music has long avoided. How much does it cost to protect a property when the truth is buried? How many church leaders are quietly going through hard times to keep up their public image? And how many other families, like the Hawkins, have kept old wounds hidden for the sake of the church? The story of Bishop Hawkins' son broke something holy, a long-needed conversation about mental health, being honest about feelings, and the Black church's culture of silence. Since then, a number of well-known gospel artists and pastors have reacted in a way that doesn't directly name anyone, but clearly refers to the story. A well-known gospel singer wrote on Twitter, "Ministry can make you bleed silently. We need to make it normal for pastors and leaders to get help as well as give it." Another pastor said on Instagram, "If the pulpit becomes a stage where broken people have to pretend to be whole, the audience is not being ministered to. They're being misled." On as his music, he could no longer carry the emotional weight of secrets that had gone unspoken for too long. He said, "I'm not trying to damage my father's legacy. I want to set T it's behind the scenes, in therapy rooms and family groups, where the real work starts, that I wanted to help people. That's where we as followers, fans, and religious leaders need to pay attention. No longer is this just about a great church leader and his last words." This is what we do with the truth now that it's out there. It has to do with deciding not to hide our pain to look good. It has to do with letting our leaders be people. This is about letting people feel, heal, and yes, talk. The people who follow the gospel have hit a turning point. Do we still only praise the perfect appearance, the spotless robe, and the lectures that are ready for the camera? Or do we start to see those who are called to serve as fully human? Because it's possible that Love Alive hasn't made their most powerful album yet. It might be the families who eventually say what has been kept from them. In the boys who are brave enough to speak out, in the wives who grieve in silence, and in the leaders who cry behind the pulpit but are still able to lead. These are the ways we now honor Bishop Walter Hawkins, not just with a post or a song, but with the honesty to be real with each other and with ourselves. Please let us know what you think. Do you think Walter's last words woke up people in the church world? Should Tremaine have spoken up sooner, or did she have the right to stay quiet? Just write your thoughts in the box below. Share this story with someone who needs healing, the truth, or the strength to finally speak up if it moved you. Don't just share it on your feed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss another story that shows the truth behind the focus. It's not just a story, there is a trend.